Good evening, and welcome to the Heikadelic Show. We would like to take this moment to let you know that viewer and listener discretion is strongly advised. So sit back, have yourself a nice cool drink or hot drink, and enjoy the show. And welcome once again to the Heikadelic Show.
Oh,
And
Hey!
Melanie gets it.
Melanie got it first. Look at
Yeah.
that.
And of course, Deb's right behind Melanie.
Oh boy.
And then there's Gary.
Oh, hey,
new
remember
horse
that
in the
guy?
race. Yeah. I think he's a drummer. Derek's new
Oh, look,
friend.
another drummer. Look at that.
And then we have
Whoa, what's up, James?
James Boone.
I
That's
got that
such an
same
interesting
tractor. Look at that. Look at his picture. I got that same tractor. That's like a
Massey Ferguson.
early mid '60s Massey. Mine's got a
Oh,
loader on it.
It
I
is a
think
Massey. Okay.
it's called a 30 or something. I forget the number. Can't see the number because I got the loader.
Right.
Ah, nice. Boys with tractors.
Yeah, man. Lots
So
of
how
trees
is
around
everybody?
here, so you got to like get rid of stumps and stuff.
Oh
and,
yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know, trees are freaking heavy when they fall, right? Like it's a lot of weight. So I
So
can't
Derek, do you actually know anybody that thinks your tractor is sexy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, good.
Yeah.
My tractor.
So it's not just a
sexy.
tune, then it's for real.
Sexy. It really turns around.
Yipper.
Sandra's
George,
Well,
just
Sandra's
so you know,
behind
I
James.
grew up on a dairy farm. So
Okay.
I've spent lots of time on a tractor. And you want to know something? You do get people who come out and visit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you'll be out in the middle of a field and all of a sudden a buddy you haven't seen in 5 years drops by with a case of beer while you're working.
Yeah.
You're like, here, jump in the cab. We got the AC on. We got the tunes blaring. Have a
Yep.
few beers. Drive around for a couple hours.
You boys.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, as long as you made it home in time for chores, you were good.
That's all right. That's the main thing.
Junior. Hey.
No, Junior.
Oh, I saw Todd in there too. Okay.
All right, Todd.
And,
Speaking of Todd,
like,
we'll be having Todd on tonight later.
Holy crap! Like everybody's all coming on at once. They must be excited to see the show or something.
It's the race for that first place prize that
I
we
know.
talked about, right?
Oh, and Junior there, you can catch him on Friday nights, eh?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you
7:30
can
to
actually.
Yes.
And I think Junior, you guys have some kind of a new Magic player or some kind of a direct player. I tried it out. I saw the link and it's pretty good. It's easy to connect.
Yep. And if you guys are getting sick of all of us together, just want to hang out with George. He's on tomorrow night, right, George?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 7:30 p.m. I'll see you there and then the Atomic Ballroom. Yeah.
I don't see how possibly you could get sick of us, but there is George.
No, I don't.
I know, George makes it, right?
You know what I don't understand though? Riddle me this. So
Yeah.
George sits there and he will, soak it all in and then wham, comes out with a question.
Yep.
But
Lets you
then
have it.
But then when he's on Twitch, what's your tag for Twitch?
Switch to Twitch.
Switch to Twitch. So when he's
7:30
on
p.m.
Twitch, he's like, "Whoa, yeah, let's go. Woo, woo, woo."
I'm not that bad, huh?
Yeah,
It's like he
See-
must eat his Cheerios on Tuesdays, not on Mondays.
That's what I mean. That's on DJ mode.
Yeah.
DJ dance mode.
Yeah.
Pump it
But
up.
they only see me from the waist up, so that's a good thing, actually.
Yeah.
I got excited.
Yeah, the
So
footwork
guess
isn't
what
great.
dog comes in tonight? We got
Oh.
Burby tonight.
Hang
Yeah.
on.
Oh, nice.
And way
Hang
down,
on, hang
he
on,
actually
kids.
like put his head around you as he
Cheers. Oh,
Yeah.
Kilkenny.
It's,
Other
That's just
beers
so
are
good.
available.
Well, Kilkenny again.
Oh my God,
You
they killed Kenny.
bastards.
I've got.
There's
That's gonna-
Kathy. Kathy's a little late on the start, but she's
Hello,
here. That's
Kathy.
great.
She's here.
Oh,
Sandra loves the banana splits,
So do we.
and Melanie loves puppies.
Yes.
yeah.
But who doesn't?
Who doesn't
right?
love puppies? Everybody loves puppies.
No kidding. My 120-pound puppy's not here right now, so
Yeah.
You going
he'd be knocking shit over anyways. So what's new with you guys? Anybody do anything cool the last couple of days?
No.
Wow.
Not-
I guess not, eh?
overly cool. It's
No?
I went out cross country skiing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's all right.
One of those things that I like to do.
Yeah.
And it's different. There's no real base, right? So
Yeah.
you the snow that we got a whole bunch. So you just go right down. It kind of
Yeah.
sucked until you get your path worked in.
It's a real
but-
good workout right now.
Yeah. Well, pass there now, so it's good.
Right on.
Yeah,
So you got
yeah,
trails
Gary, yeah,
in your
Gary,
back,
it does
back
have
40 there?
a widget in it.
We go. We got like a 4-kilometer trail that goes around our concession.
Okay.
So in between the one concession to the next, we just go
Yeah.
around the bush, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. That's
Yeah,
really
then
cool.
you come up. I come up like the ditch, right?
Yeah.
On my skis when we're walking, obviously on the road.
Yeah.
And your 4-wheelers, obviously on the road.
Yeah. Right on. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at my snowshoes and then looking out the window.
Well, we do have snow, bud.
Well, you should
And
get
then-
cross country skis. You want to know something? Cross country skiing is pretty much walking, right?
Mhm.
It's the same motion except for you extend it a little bit. You glide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
go out in deep snow, you are walking.
I used to when I was in high school. I was on a ski team.
Oh,
up
yeah?
north. Yeah, but we do like 28K plus. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do
Those
it
were
too,
brutal.
cross country and downhill.
Yep. Yeah.
Just so you can have an idea of how long 28K is. That's from Uxbridge at the beer store.
Mm-hmm.
You get on the rail track there to the Durham 30,
Yep.
right? Or not Durham 30, sorry. Durham 13. So it's right as you go through Blackwater on Highway 12, just before Sunderland.
Okay.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
a thing called Bric-a-Brac, a little store there, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So that trail there to go
Yep.
from there into Uxbridge on that trail is exactly 29.5 kilometers.
Okay. I think I know where you mean too.
Wow,
It's,
okay.
it's gated at the rail, right?
It's gated at the Uxbridge end.
Yeah, at the Uxbridge end. Yeah.
Because it's a bigger walk path. Right now it's open. Winter it's open because it's a snowmobile path.
Snowmobile trail.
But yeah, I like ride, like that's a full moon ride that I do, right? Like we go out on
Yeah.
full moons, and we used to go in Durham Forest, and now we do it on rail beds because you don't get as hurt.
Yeah, no kidding.
So is that with your snow machine or ATV?
No, that's on mountain bikes or cross country skis.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Nice.
give up the skis because every time I fell, they'd beat me up the side of the head. And it just wasn't nice.
Mhm.
Don't
Left
fall
marks
down.
on me all the time. It's like, oh my God, I got to get something new.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I used to downhill ski as well, and
Uh-huh.
me and my buddy were out skiing at the ski hill, and it was fun because we'd hang out, but we'd always like doing stupid stuff like creating our own trails and then dropping off these like small cliffs, kind of more of a trick kind of thing. But I never broke my leg, but we got drunk. We had wineskins with vodka and something in it, but
Yeah.
we ended up
something.
yeah. But I I kind of, through a bit of exhaustion and maybe being a little inebriated, I was sitting by the fire and I fell asleep with my ski boots on.
Yep.
And I still, to this day, I have frostbite marks on my, like, it just kind of goes like a brown kind of, yeah. But that's, so I got the scar to show it. Yeah.
Nice.
If you look at this collarbone right here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, clothes are coming off, girls. Here we go.
Yeah, see right there, you can see like I put my finger there, and that's the top part of the collarbone, and then the bottom part's down here.
Yeah,
that's from Blue Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I went in. They had a ravine coming out from bushes onto a trail because we were kind of maybe skiing where we weren't supposed to.
Right.
And it went up real high and shot me up, and I landed and smashed my collarbone.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and then 2 years I switched to snowboarding after that, and then 2 years later I broke the same collarbone, but I broke it like an inch away from where I originally broke it.
So now that we've seen your collarbone, we should take a look at George's backside.
Oh yes,
yeah. That's
nice.
Enough with bones. Now it's backside.
That's right.
Wow, you got quite the lights happening there today, George.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we're getting in the mood for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Atomic Ballroom.
Good for you.
Switch to Twitch.
Well, that's quite a colorful, photography kind of scrapbook-looking album.
Yep.
Wow.
Any ideas?
Blood Rock Sausage.
Blood Rock Sausage.
That looks like Aunt Lucy in the corner.
Hey, Gary, you should change the name of the band to Blood Rock Sausage.
Yeah, I'll have to find an actual album by them.
Okay, so this is a band?
It is a solo artist.
Yeah.
A solo artist. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
Lizzie McGuire. Can't you see?
Okay, it's got pictures from like the 20s on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
And that's the classic edition. So that's like a special one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
What
Yeah, you
Can't
genre?
see the bottom because of the glare.
It's kind of rock.
It's
solo
kind of rock.
Mm-hmm.
What
Kind
year?
of rock, like Elton John.
Can you give us a
A
year?
bit rocky, but you know, that kind of artiste.
That kind of artiste. All right.
Artiste.
Like Elton John, but not Elton John.
Right.
Not Elton John.
So, Sandra, it's a solo.
All right.
UK
No.
is correct. Yeah, it's a UK artist.
Bowie? No.
David Bowie.
It's a female, is it not?
It's not. It's not Bowie, and it's not a female.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no female singers came out
So
of the UK.
Kathy says Peter Frampton.
Oh yeah, wait, is that 70s or 80s? Wait a second.
It's not Peter Frampton. It's 70s, very early 70s.
Okay.
That looks like a 70-ish album
Early
cover.
70s. Pre-Derek. Okay.
Oh man.
Pre-Derek.
Pre-Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year?
That's wild, man.
Sandra
I don't
is
know.
asking what year.
1971.
Oh, it is. Like that's before me. 71, and it's a solo artist. Were they ever in a band?
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. Yeah.
Kind
Not a
of.
well-known band, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the Pepsi lady right there.
The one on the bottom right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
Michael
that.
Jackson.
Michael Jackson's American, wasn't he?
Oh,
And that was probably before his time, too.
Okay.
No, Michael Jackson's I think 68, wasn't it? The Jackson 5. The
Oh, was
first
it?
hit.
He pulled out Elvis, so now now I'm opening up my range with you, and it might not be a good thing.
okay. So what we'll do is we'll come back to.
Hang on, we've got a guest there, Gary, right?
Gary says Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody's going to win, it's a drummer. All right.
All right.
Well done, Gary.
And then
Good one,
Sander
Gary.
picks up on that.
Nicely
Kathy
done.
says-
Every picture tells a story. The one with Maggie May on and everything.
Oh, is that
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Maggie
Oh,
May's
right.
down.
Maggie May was the Pepsi girl.
Maggie May, there you go.
Yeah. See the Pepsi lady right there? That's Maggie May.
Yeah.
Maggie
There you
May.
go.
Oh, I should have paid more attention to that, man.
Yeah,
Right
like-
there.
Yeah. I didn't want to
Yeah.
hold it too close.
She was like the
Yeah.
Pepsi icon.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if you know that, but it came out in the summer of '71, Maggie May. But it was actually a B-side. It was the B-side to Reason to Believe, which is on the album.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
And a DJ somewhere in the States flipped it over, played Maggie May, and that's where it all took off
Exploded.
from. Actually,
Really?
the copy I had, Maggie May was on the B-side. It was a B-side in England as well.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you guys were always a little bit opposite of the States.
I was going to say, yeah, they're left side driver, right side
Yeah.
driver,
Yeah.
A side, B side.
It's
Well,
all right.
Okay.
I've done both.
So is the world flat or is it round?
well,
Spherical.
Well, there's a discussion
Triangular.
to get into.
it's hysterical.
Well, we definitely have to get those people on and talk. Did I say those people are am I
Those
gonna
people, yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm destined to
Hang out with Don Cherry.
hang out with Don Cherry.
Yes. Those
I'm like-
people.
Yeah.
It was his birthday this week, wasn't it?
Was it?
Don Cherry's, yeah.
How old would Grapes be now?
I don't know. So old that the grapes are a little wrinkled.
The grapes are now raisins.
Is he so old he farts dust?
I have no idea. Met the man once. Okay, so tell us about our guest, Derek.
I don't want to tell you nothing. I
All
didn't
right.
tell you everything.
Why not? We have a guest tonight, so
We do. His name is Todd. Todd, you may actually, if you go right back up here, he said hello tonight.
I know.
yeah.
I said hello.
Todd's been on. He was on at 9:34. So
Yes.
Todd's on the ball.
Yeah. So
Todd's a journalist. Todd's a buddy of mine. I met Todd from the Jam up at, in the ghost town there,
Brubaton.
Bloomington. Yeah, and we got chatting, and he's like, I'm a journalist, right? And he's like won a bunch of awards, and I can't remember them all, and I'm not gonna try and even tell you what they are because I'd be lying. So we'll let Todd do that when he comes on.
Yeah.
But
so
I
he's
think,
met like big
well,
politicians and
yeah, he's done like prime ministers and some bigger. Well, obviously, if you've done prime ministers, you've done bigger names. There's yeah,
good.
We'll let Todd tell you when he comes on. But
All right,
brought
that
up
sounds
like
cool.
5 minutes too early.
We see that you're quite high right now, Derek.
Yeah.
So
Me? No.
I've got
No. Just out of the shower, I got soap in my eye.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. All right. We've got him coming on at 10,
10
right?
o'clock.
All
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So
yeah,
basically, I want to what I think is asking Todd, like finding out a little bit about media. Find out he's been in media for I think 30 plus years, right? TV, radio, like he's done a bit of everything. So
yeah. And I think like I actually did research Todd, and so it's going to be interesting chat because like I've always, to me, it's media.
That's a bad word.
It almost is because it's not agnostic to like it's not about getting the facts out to you. I mean, a lot of that gets twisted. There's a lot of influence on media, but then of course ratings, right? And how that drives the media to do really stupid things. But I'm excited to have him on. This should be really good. So George, I'm going to put you back on the panel here because it's a little awkward
I know. I feel like I'm hosting it. Oh.
Exactly. You're the man.
Todd's asking if you heard his name in vain.
It's the lights are
you never said your
hypnotic.
name in vain.
Oh,
Todd. It was definitely God we were talking about, not Todd.
so
So
what was
I
gonna
did
say?
some ice fishing.
Oh yeah, you were talking about
Yeah.
that last week. Yeah.
You guys
How'd that
done
go?
any of that yet this year?
No.
Not
Have you
me.
done any of that
Oh,
yet this decade?
We had a great group. We went out, rented 2 huts side by side, so we'd do our stagger back and forth to the huts and visit each other.
I could show you my small rod.
Yeah, we all had very small rods actually.
You got a little jigger?
Yep.
Or do you have one of those wood ones?
No, the tip ups. No, we weren't using those. They're a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And I know there's people that still like using them, but when you get a fish on, you're pulling line up with your hands, and it's all over the floor, and it's just, I don't know how they do it.
Part of the fun, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a fisher. I just literally a couple years ago started fishing in my pond out back,
Yeah.
and I actually enjoy not catching anything.
But you like casting.
I like casting and just
Yeah.
throwing it, and sitting back and having a smoke and hey, yeah, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just chilling with my son. If he catches something, woohoo, cool. You know what I mean? I don't need. I even clip like the barbs off.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay. Yeah.
right.
Yep.
I get rid of them.
Yeah. That way it doesn't do any damage.
Yeah, it doesn't do any damage, and when it goes up through their eye, you know, it comes out here like
Yeah.
it comes out easy. It doesn't like rip their whole.
Yeah.
So Rhonda is throwing a skunk on the table, or the elephant in the room, or whatever. Is she saying, "How about those truckers?"
Well,
right?
Let's
So,
not even talk
let's
about
move
that.
on. Yeah, let's move
Yeah.
on. It's so twisted right now. Yeah,
I don't. Yeah,
I don't even know what to believe anymore.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
See, and there is the thing with the media as well. Is what are we hearing? We're hearing
This-
lies, and we're hearing stuff that's filtered.
Hey,
Right.
And
okay, wait. Stop. Whoa. Yes, there we go. Thank you.
88.
What you get?
Thanks,
He
Gary.
is 88 now. Thank you, Gary. Thanks for letting me know. Look
good
at
old
that.
Don.
Was great to break up that conversation again. All right. So, anyways, yeah. Speaking of Todd, there's Todd. He's speaking already. He's
Yeah.
cracking a pint because he heard the banana splits. And
That's it.
when
At least
you
we
hear
got
the
that all
banana
figured
split,
out.
you just gotta have a drink. That's
Yeah.
what everybody does. Woohoo! Saturday morning, 7:00. What time
Hey,
did
so
you
we're
guys used to get up for cartoons? I used to get up
about
at 6:30.
7,
Yeah.
around 7. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was great because the parents used to be partying the night before,
Yeah.
and they just go to bed drunk, and all the glasses half full of booze are still all over the place, right? So my little brother and I would collect them all and pour them in big cups, and we'd sit there and drink that while we're watching our
No cigarette
cartoons.
butts in this one.
Oh man, no, we
That's
never
one
got
thing-
into the butts. We
That's
always
one
drank the
thing that
booze.
people don't understand. Who like 2000 and up, right? They don't understand like you being in a room with 200 people that only holds 75, and everybody's chain smoking because they're nervous and drunk.
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Holy shit, that is
I know.
crazy.
it was like
Was.
a fog. It was a fog.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I
Walking
remember that,
by,
man. That's,
hey, nice shoes.
oh yeah, the good old days.
Yeah.
So yesterday, or no, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I was filling a sink down here and just kind of
What were you filling it with?
No, just water. And
Body
then
Okay.
I decided to go out and untangle one of the dogs. And then I got a phone call. Not naming names, but I got a phone call, and so then of course, I forget about the water I got running in the sink. So I ended up having about just under a quarter of an inch of water on my kitchen floor, like all over. So
Nice.
I tried to mop. That wasn't working.
No,
I went out and got a
get
shop.
the shop back. Yeah.
It did the trick. So, but you know what? At the end of the day, you make lemonade with lemons. So I hadn't washed my floors, and I got them washed now.
Hey, look at that.
So there
What?
you go.
Whoa! Who is this guy? What did you do with Ringo?
Oh,
Wash the floors.
was I supposed to rant about a mistake that I made?
No.
That's not how it works.
It doesn't work that way at all. No.
Here's how you make everything better.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Puppies.
Puppies. I bought a
Yeah.
sniper. Oh, never mind.
No, I was just
You
going to
want a
say.
what?
Nothing. No,
a
I didn't say
sniper.
anything.
What?
Okay.
A snipper. A snake.
A snipper, yeah.
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 Yeah, next week
some
we're
people,
going
you wanna
back
know
out
something?
again.
I
And
never
we're getting-
realized how bad a phobia like that can be, right? I've seen like people freak out just because, like, if say there was a picture of one behind Ringo's head that he turned on his monitor there, and all of a sudden, whoosh, there was a snake. Like people would generally fucking flip out, man, just
Yeah.
freak.
Well, you know, it's funny. I've just tried this. You know, the Oculus I was talking about, the
Yep.
360 VR thing.
Yeah,
So I went on to this thing called, I think it's V Time, and you can go into these different environments, and it's amazing because you're in this virtual world, and so I'm sitting on this rock, and this like a campsite kind of thing. There's a fire going. So they have all of these rocks that virtually people can come in and sit down and chat or whatever. But I'm there by myself, and all of a sudden this rattlesnake comes by, and yeah, it was kind of trippy. But
Yeah.
I think there's somebody here. What's her name? Oh, Kathy. she no, she hates. Kathy
Lord.
hates snakes. She
Yeah.
hates snakes. She's got like a mortal fear of snakes.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty okay with snakes. Like,
Yeah,
Boy,
I have a friend who used to have a really
she's a
big
dude.
snake.
Yeah.
He had like a 15-foot Burmese python or something. I don't know. It was wicked, and it took like 6 of us to hold it.
Yeah.
Then stretched out. But yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, they can be, you know, like
They
buddy
can
mine
attack
had.
you.
Yeah, well, so we were finding. My friend had a snake in Oshawa, and it was pretty fair size. It was an albino snake, though.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if he was supposed to have it, but it was a really nice snake. But he was getting bit when he'd feed it, and I said, John, you know what?
Got to feed it more.
No, he was holding the mice with his fingers.
Oh,
So he was getting the scent on his fingers. So I said, no, you just go to a pet store and you can buy like a long grabber, and you know, grab the mouse or put it in live. But usually snake owners will buy like frozen mice that they just, you know, pull out like an ice cube. And but yeah, if it picks up a scent, it's not gonna. It just goes for it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, snakes on a plane.
Snakes on a plane.
Nice.
Well, speaking of snakes on a plane and media,
Yeah. I guess we're just about there. It's like 10 o'clock.
I guess we're going to be getting pretty close to bringing Mr. Todd on.
I think it's 10 o'clock. It's 10:02 actually. So
is Todd there?
Yeah,
Todd
he's in the
is
green room and he's cursing. He goes, "What's taking you guys so long? I'm waiting."
Snakes are not my cup of tea. I wouldn't want to see a snake in a cup of tea either.
No, that would freak me out.
Well,
that'd be a bit
let's
unsettling.
welcome, Mr. Todd Phillips.
Yes.
All right. Hey, Todd. How's it going, buddy?
Right?
There
guys.
he is.
How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Well. So yeah, well, thank you. So
We're
Yeah,
just gonna
I
put you
really-
up on the big screen here, Todd. There you
I'm
go.
ready. I'm ready to take everything you can throw at me and defend the media. You know, this is my job here. So
Well, Todd, the first thing I want to ask you about is that lovely pine frame door that you have behind you in your house. Obviously, you're in a century home. That's
oh yeah,
beautiful.
I live right downtown Sunderland. So yeah, and
Okay. Yeah.
the house is from 1870, I think. So yeah,
Nice.
Is that a Hughes and Kettner amp you have in the back?
that's a trainer amp actually. Tube amp.
Is it? Okay, I
Yeah.
can't read it from here, but
Yeah.
that's neat.
Yeah, I guess
So-
there's the little guitar collection there. So
Huh.
Nice.
Well,
Well, I got to tell you, I love the show, guys. I tune in. I try to figure out what the hell you guys are all about. And I get the satire because it does crack me up. And I need to establish my credentials as a journalist here. This is how I'm going to do this. See, there's this magazine called Maclean's back in the day, and there's an article of mine in there. There. So there we go. That's all we need to do. Actually, what really prompted me to want to kind of join in, other than the fact that it's kind of cool to shoot the shit, is it was one of the shows, Derek, and you had someone on who is sort of a conspiracy theorist, other than you, I guess, and you're interviewing and you're going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and I thought this is really funny that Derek's really stringing along. And then we had a conversation, realized, well, Derek's actually subscribes to a lot of the stuff. So I thought, well, how do we have a chat about that, because the media is often cited as the one that's hiding all this and conspiring. When you're in the business, it's interesting to hear people tell you about how the business works from outside it. So I thought it'd be cool to go on and just sort of answer any questions you might have, because I have worked in television, radio. I was a newspaper reporter for 5 years in the Arctic, traipsing around Iqaluit and all parts northern Canada, stuff like that. So
wow, that's cool.
I don't want to offend anyone here. This is a fun show. It's light. I don't want to be like
no.
There's going to be no offending. We're going to let you. Everybody, it's fun. You know what I mean? We're having fun. We're talking. We're shooting the shit.
Oh, cheers.
Guinness.
And cheers.
Nice.
Guinness.
Cheers. Actually, Todd, we got some awards, right? What were the awards for?
Oh, just I guess over my career and being a newspaper reporter, magazines, you always sort of send in your stuff to different magazine or newspaper competitions. So I've won a bunch of awards for editorial writing, news reporting, magazine feature stories, all that sort of stuff. So
did you get like a trophy or anything like that?
Yeah, you get trophies, plaques, all kinds of stuff. It's just pad your resume, make you feel good about yourself, all that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
Why not?
Funny, my wife wasn't too keen because she knows I'm fairly outspoken. She goes like, "We have to live in this town. Don't go on that show and like say all kinds of crazy shit, get everyone mad at you." So but
I say crazy shit sometimes just to get people to react, eh?
Well, that's
what you realize.
You have a job in the media. That's what we do for a living.
So, my first question I've always wanted to ask: how much is media politically based? Does that all depend on what company you work for?
I'd say this, like, let's just take like Facebook and social media. That's not.
No, I don't mean.
Those are kind of just goofy citizen-run platforms where people spout off. That's cool. That's a form of, reportage. But if you're talking about like the mainstream media, let's say, you'd be surprised how regulated it is, even internally. So if you think about an organization like the CBC during an election, they get paranoid that they're going to be accused of bias or whatever. So they literally will have stopwatches where people are taping the amount of time every leader gets FaceTime in a given story or a given newscast, just to avoid this sense of impartiality. So, but when you're in favor of one party or another, it always seems like your guys are not getting enough coverage or getting negative coverage, whatever. And sometimes it's dictated by just the stupid shit they do on the campaign. Some people get more. But I would say, there was a time when newspapers had very clearly aligned biases. And it was, if you were in England in the day, this is, the paper that you got if you were more of a conservative bent or liberal. And we had that a little bit in Canada. The Toronto Star was certainly more left of center, more advocacy kind of, for the rights of the workers, the individuals. Maybe some of the other papers are a little bit tilting right.
And the Sun had page 2.
Yeah, exactly. The Sun was kind of there. But I would say it's not what you think in terms of people, in the newsroom all being dictated to, skew a story a certain way. There's definitely a culture, a vibe within a news organization, and people sort of figure out what that is. But I don't think it's what you would imagine, that people are getting together and talking. So actually, the number one message I was going to say about the media is that I often hear about things, how they're conspiring and working together to control or suppress a story or spin it a certain way. It's the most cutthroat, ruthless, competitive business you could ever imagine. No journalist, and I've known hundreds and hundreds. I've been on press junkets with 20, 30. Nobody would ever cooperate on working on a story or an angle because they all want the scoop. They all want their own unique spin. So that's kind of one of the things that I was quite interested in, that somehow this group of people who are all storytellers and just like spilling the beans for a living would ever agree to just sort of squash a story for some greater thing. I think that it just goes against the grain of just about every journalist I've known. So that's something I always find interesting.
Yeah, Todd, I totally agree with that. I mean, that's what I was kind of getting with the whole ratings game, right? I mean, then there's probably the personal satisfaction of being ahead of that race for for a scoop. So what was interesting was my father passed away in 2000, and he was out saving 4 kids who had got in a snowmobile accident head on in front of his place in the bay. So one kid died on impact, and then there was another one that was dying. Anyway, so my dad went out to the scene, and it was an interesting situation because he promised the kid he'd stay with him, and my dad ended up holding the kid, and the kid passed away. My dad had a heart attack on the scene and died holding the kid. So it was a big story, right?
Yeah.
And this is how vicious it became. One of my, and I hope he's not watching tonight because he usually does, but
Sorry to hear that. about Dad,
his former wife called us like literally the day of, and she was a reporter up north, right? And she wanted the scoop, and she begged for it. And I said, I cannot believe, just, you know what? Call me in a few days. I didn't know what to say.
Right.
But it was terrible. But it's definitely I understand that. I understand where that comes from, the motivation, but it's ruthless, as you said, right? Cutthroat and ruthless.
Yeah, it's also. I mean, I'm here to just not defend the media, maybe just better explain it, because like I've been, I'd say this of journalists in general, to be stereotypical, drink a lot, and just not always the nice people, not always, the most, stand up, overall, like it's like any subset of a population, but the things that are ascribed to them just don't really add up in terms of how they go about doing their business. But as individuals, they're individuals, right? So
right.
They're as flawed as the rest of us. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't think it, like you mentioned about like kind of peeking behind the curtain a bit. Like I don't know if it's like there are so many things that become obvious, right? It could be in the way that when we start bringing or embellish news. I mean that to me becomes very, very obvious, right? One channel embellishing over another channel, and and some of the retractions, right? If you watch, I used to read the Globe and a bunch of different papers every morning in my office, and I would see, like ask for forgiveness. New York Times was fabulous at doing that, right? Like put out something that's not accurate and then retract it the next day. But the next day is the next day. Nobody gives a shit, right? So it's got to be a tough business.
Well, one thing actually, because I haven't been in the daily news business for a while, but I was in a digital media event in New York a couple of years ago, and I went to Reuters head office where all the type of business news. And one of the things that made me be happy I'm not in that day-to-day business was there's a giant computer screens in every newsroom, and the journalists are all typing away their business stories and watching it, and it's a chart that is monitoring all the clicks, all the popularity of all the stories they're filing during the day, and they're all being ranked in real time. So they're there. And you've got editors that are swapping stories around on the homepage to try to get more clicks, try to get more impressions for advertisers. So if someone's doing something about an oil trade embargo in Venezuela that's really important but not really that great, someone else could be doing Kim Kardashian's cat just died, and it's like it's clicking and they're being rewarded. So there's definitely a race for the bottom in this sort of like online need for attention, but it's driven by the economics of the media. The thing that it's not so much like, I guess the thing is there's no really great unseen hand behind it manipulating it all, other than the business interests of each of the media organizations, and they're all different.
Right. So the hand is that's not really there. That is there is the CEOs of said company, right?
It's they.
It's they, exactly. It's they.
Yeah.
You got it, Ringo. It's they,
Yeah, I'm starting to piece it together, man.
right?
We're always
gonna
trying to
crack
find
this
out
nut.
who
And
they
that's
are.
it. But that's the whole thing is who are they and how much the interest, because like if you find something out like that's I don't know, very confidential, something that you could like, oh, I found out that anti-gravity machines have been around for 20 years. That's what they say the satellites are and stuff like that. They're really anti-gravity machines that go here, and you go to bring that out. Do you think you're just going to be able to just throw that out, or do you think that's going to be like, whoa, Todd's being a liar and he's not, this is fake shit? And
I think if it's accurate, I mean, if stuff is accurate, newsworthy, relevant, it's adding to the public debate, media will report it, right? They have their own interests. It's all dictated by a bunch of things. Some of it though is economics. I mean, if you look at, when I was a young guy, I mean, we always had a paper. I grew up in Montreal, so I had a paper arrive in the morning, and there was the Montreal Gazette would arrive in the afternoon. And basically with media, you get what you pay for. There's nobody really subscribes or wants to pay for it. So we all want free stuff. You don't want to go and pay for the quality of journalism you're going to get. So we get, the economics of the media drives it towards kind of drivel and ridiculousness. But and that's a sad sort of thing. It takes a lot of money to fund even a news person to go cover your local town hall, which doesn't really happen anymore. So you don't even know what's going on in your own backyard because community journalism is dying. You get your local newspaper. It's really just a fish wrap for the supermarket flyers and such, right? Doesn't have a lot of news in it. And that's kind of a tragic sort of diminishing of media. So we just go to free sources and less reliable sources, and more frankly.
Town hall meetings and stuff like that now, most of them are being broadcast online and stuff too, right?
Yeah, which is good. It gets more access. I mean, I was a young cub reporter up in the Arctic. I used to have to go sit there in town hall and listen to all the local stories, and it would be amazing the kind of corruption and crap that's happening and stuff like that. So it's a good way to cut your teeth, or the police beat, but these papers that are in your towns, they don't have the resources for that. Even at the national level, I mean, the CBC has good funding. Some of the national newspaper chains still do okay, but with the migration towards digital economics and not print advertising, because I mean, I would ask which of you buy a daily newspaper, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but probably none. So you get free media, and then you complain that it's no good, or you look at the televised stuff like on Fox, and I like to make a point of watching like MSNBC in the States far left, CNN somewhere in that left spectrum, and Fox, and just to kind of let it all kind of wash over and see how distorted all the lenses are. And I think that's what people need to do more of, is not just consume their own favorite media channels, because it just feeds you back what you already believe, right? So
I agree.
So Todd, what made you go into the business? What was it that sparked you off as a young man?
Well, I guess it was just in high school, and I was a half decent writer. And one of my high school teachers said, "Hey, you're a good writer. You should think about going into journalism." So you're filling out your university programs, and you're like, "All right, sociology, liberal arts, and journalism." I got a scholarship to go to Carleton, and ended up going there, and then ended up getting my master's degree at Western later on in journalism. So just always had kind of a storytelling bent, I guess. Yeah. And I had an interest in politics. So I had sort of an undergrad in politics and journalism was kind of my background. So.
Right.
Yeah. But it's cool. Fun. It's a fun profession. I mean, it's got me around the world. I've traveled, like all across the States and Europe and different places. And most of the time I've never paid my own way. I really hate traveling now. I go out with my wife and I go somewhere, I'm paying my own plane ticket, my own hotel, my own meals. I'm like, this sucks. Like,
no, I get that.
So what about in Canada? Let's say, for instance, you're a freelance journalist. Do you do freelance now, or do you work? What do you do nowadays?
Yeah, well, now I edit one magazine in sort of the automotive industry, so that's kind of one sort of journalism gig. So if anything, I hire freelancers and writers. But for the most part, I own kind of a media and a marketing company, and so we do an awful lot of video production. We do a ton of stuff down that. So I'm sort of only part-time in that. So I would hire freelance writers, and that's a tough gig. They have to go kind of assignment to assignment, and pay really hasn't gone up in many, many years, but some people, they kind of scratch out a living at it. So,
so that's the Canadian auto. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. So then that keeps you busy pretty much full time.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Hey, one question I had of you, Derek, I guess, 'cause I'm curious because now I'm going to be journalist on the show here. So I'm always curious about why people believe the things that they believe. And this isn't any kind of a criticism.
Okay.
I think there's something that, we swapped some articles back and forth that sparked this, but something that always struck me as interesting is like some things are just kind of unknowable and they don't make sense in the face of it. But there seems to be such a drive to just piece it together with some explanation that gives us some, even if it's like in some ways the most nonsensical one, but it's I don't know what that drive comes from.
Well, okay, what I find is for some people it's wanting to fit in. It's wanting to have something in common that you talk about because you don't understand.
Mhm.
Other people are people who just question everything, right? Because a lot of the times there is stuff you hear that isn't, it's being led one way or another. As we said, it all depends on whoever they are, who owns the company that you're hearing whatever information you have. It's like the Bible you read now is not the same Bible that was 500 years ago, that was 200 years ago. You know what I mean? It's everything changes, right? By whoever they are, they change however we live. So some people want, I don't know, and just to be clear, I wouldn't consider myself a conspiracy theorist. I consider myself a Gemini. I try and look at both sides. And then I'll also ask questions, and I will put stuff out and just to find out what you think about it, because I know you're left, I know you're right, I know you're in the center. You know what I mean? I just like to hear different opinions, but
I think you like to push
most
buttons.
people,
Derek.
it is they want something to believe. They want something to believe.
Derek, you're
right?
an anarchist. All right, you just like to push buttons and throw shit out to see if it sticks, and then hey,
no. I like. I've never been a government guy. I have not. I don't. I've always thought the government is screwing you somehow. I've always thought that. Do I trust big pharma? Absolutely not. Right? You know, how's your OxyContin? Like just a big lie just to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's too many things. And how much media do you think got bought off during the whole OxyContin thing?
Yeah.
You know, we'll keep it quiet. How about little things like when you hear like Trudeau's getting busted for something?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's blackout. Nobody talks about it. It's like, wait a second.
That part, I hear you on that. I challenge you a little bit on that because, like I said, if you go back to the basic idea that media are competitive for ratings, they don't like one another. They would like nothing more. And a lot of journalists are pretty counterculture. You know, they like to disrupt the system. They don't go in to reinforce the status quo. Most people that go into journalism that I've seen, it's a big stereotype here, but are kind of, they want to change things. They have a sort of an advocacy bent for the most part. So there's very few that go in and go, let's reinforce the social order. Let's act on behalf of government and keep information from the masses. They're just not really hardwired that way. So, but do those big corporations and governments want to suppress information, control the narrative?
Oh yeah,
100%. Yeah, there's no
absolutely.
Not that they're
all this stuff.
But not that they're taking it away, but like they're going to put it up there, but they're going to see my little box here. They're going to put up, hey, this person of power did this to people who don't have power without say, and it's going to blurb up there for 2 seconds. Well, you're going to get local chick who has nice bum with little dog farted and sold her underwear for $20 million today. Right?
Yeah.
Because people care more about that than they should about the little window over here that said, guess what? This just got taken away from you. Or you can no longer do this. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still there, and they're saying it's equal rights, but it is and it isn't, right? But it's like playing the main stage or the little stage, you know.
Todd, your point though about big corporations, I've been on the inside of that. And at very, very like president level kind of thing. But yeah, it's there's a lot of things that motivate that, and that connection could be publicly traded company and shareholder value. There's a lot of things running in the background that motivate corporations to try and suppress if they can, right? I mean, it's simply the fact that you are publicly traded. If there's bad news about to come out, it's like holding it off a day or two is, millions of dollars. So
Well, I mean,
allegedly, of course,
for sure. I mean, if you look at, I never would have believed, say, the VW Dieselgate scandal that a company would keep the diesel emission standards and
for
go
sure,
through
man.
both lengths. So that was kind of absurd. So for those that sort of believe corporations will do whatever they do to perpetuate making more money, those things are legit. Hey, Derek, I'm going to give you a conspiracy theory I witnessed myself.
Okay.
So back in the day, this was back in the 90s, I think, would have been the 90s, maybe even the 80s, to date myself. I worked for a media monitoring company. So what we did is we had banks of TVs and radios, and we recorded all the news media for the federal government. So whenever we found stories, we would send over a transcript and just so you know, the government monitors and tapes, records, probably even this show, everything. And they have better access to information. They have teams of people breaking it down and giving it to them. So I did that job. I did that before I went into journalism. I did that for 2 years and thought, man, I want to be on the other side of this because I think I'd be a good journalist because I know the way government works. Anyway, it's another story. So we listened to this TVs for 8 hours a day. I wore headphones and I clicked between stations and recorded what was there. So the government told us, our government health and welfare department, saying, be on the lookout, put out the word that there's these grapes from Chile that are tainted that are going to come into Canada. If you ever hear about one of these stories, let us know right away. So everyone's listening, and nothing happens for a couple of weeks, and boom, one comes out. There's a story out of Vancouver that, because there was some protests in Chile, they were threatening to poison the grapes. So it comes in, all of a sudden now it's in the news media. We have to alert the government. Then all of a sudden, all the press and the PR machine is there. Oh my God, we just discovered that there's these health risks. So we're pulling the grapes from the shelves right across, and there's all these news stories of them taken out. But so they knew like way in advance that this was a risk, but didn't bother really sharing this with the public because they didn't want to trigger panic. And so that kind of stuff, just as sort of an inside stuff, happens, right? That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Sort of sounds like COVID, but yeah,
very much.
Anyway, yeah.
So I came in to try to diffuse some of the conspiracy theories, and I just planted one there.
Okay,
like, who you fucker? Oh, I'm not
but here's a conspiracy theory, and this is what I'm gonna say. I definitely questioned government before this, but this is what made me totally go, oh my God, I am seeing this firsthand live right there in front of me. This is bullshit. 911. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just how the media talked about it, just how the media showed videos of it, how the media changed, how they lied, like they're showing Building 7 and they're saying, oh yeah, Building 7's down, and then like, oh, it's over my shoulder. Right? Just little things like
there's 9/11 didn't happen. I don't understand. What's
No, it definitely happened. Obviously, there's two great big buildings that came down, but they didn't get hit by airplanes and fall down. Right? That obviously, me not being an expert, to me, I think it was obviously some controlled demolition there.
Well, it's so funny you just bring that up because I just watched a documentary a couple days ago about 9/11. And they had 10 reasons, which, again, they weren't super clear, but 10 reasons why things might have happened the way it did. And they were talking about the fire escapes that people couldn't get out in time. They're talking about the way the insulation was put on the beams in the building. And they got all these crazy fucking theories now, all these years later, to try and explain what happened. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm kind of on the fence with this whole.
You saw the thermite. Why did they get rid of the steel within 2 days? Right?
Yes. Yeah.
As soon as they got it all collected, it was gone to China.
Yeah.
So you can't test it to see the thermite where it's burnt through.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Hey, Derek,
I know
you lived in a small town, right?
I'm from Uxbridge, Ontario.
Okay. I'll just ask you. If there was news of interest in someone in Uxbridge and 5 people knew about it, how long would it be before everybody in town kind of knew that news, right?
Yeah, exactly. I understand. Yeah, there
So,
it'd be
I guess
quick.
I guess my
News
impression is
travels, and it's
but
like telephone. I understand telephone too, right?
yeah, I just the idea though that it's more interesting. Life is much more interesting imagining all this kind of other stuff is going on. It's intellectually fun, but I guess just my job has always been I have to verify shit. I have to actually
Yeah,
Right.
and I have to put my name to a story that actually validates stuff. So I'm always much more risk averse to just buy stuff at face. It drives people crazy. In fact, it's gonna drive you crazy. Next time you tell them something, I'll go, "Hey, where'd you hear that?" I do it all the time. Drives like friends. It's just training. It's not like I don't believe you. I just need to source what you said. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
play it through. So
yeah.
but it's cool. It's cool. I'm just kind of seeing how because when I see all the time, the media is doing this, the media is doing that, the media's because when you're a part of it, you know how it works. It's interesting because it's like somebody who
It's like being towards your
like
job.
a pilot, right? And
Yeah.
he says it drives him crazy when he sees stories about the airline industry. He says if you only really knew what went on in the industry, but so it's a bit like that. I'm not saying like I know it all or blah, blah. I'm not trying to play that card, but it's just it's more complicated than most people think, I guess.
So Todd, a few weeks back we had a flat earther on here, and he's got 44,000 people on his socials. So we had a pretty amped night. We had about 1,000 people on Facebook, 2,000 on YouTube. So it was very, very interactive. But one of our our guest, he was excellent, very articulate, had me
David
half
Weiss.
convinced. Yes, half convinced that the earth is flat, so he needs to come back and work on the other half. But the very convincing. In the audience, we had an individual whose job was to put satellites in space for media satellites and everything.
Yeah.
So that person was like, wow, it'd be a pretty awful situation if the earth was flat and I'm sending them around the world, right? So it's to your point, I get it. Like as a journalist, in your sort of heart of hearts, you want to be that person that peels the onion back enough to understand and vet out your sources. That's the proper way to do it, and that's where I think media from an ethical standpoint I think starts that way, but then all of a sudden you get the business pressures, right? I'm not saying you would, but let's say a broadcasting or media center, they get the influences that are really about economics, right? And then things kind of can get murky. And you mentioned about some sort of I forget what you called it, like almost like a review panel or something. There has to be some kind of accountability for ethical conduct and making sure that the story is as true as the facts in front of you and the sources, right?
Well, part of it is I've been sued a couple of times too, and as a newspaper reporter, it's not uncommon. The bailiff shows up and walks in and hands you a paper and says, you're being sued for what you printed in the newspaper, and then the immediate phone calls for libel lawyer. And he says, did you tape record all your conversations? Okay, send those to me. Send me your sources. Give me a copy of this. So you go through this drill of vetting everything, and you're shitting your pants thinking like, oh, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I effed up, So then you go through this whole process. So then it just kind of sharpens your game a little bit because there's accountability, not so much on social media, but when you're putting stuff out there in a newspaper, whatever, like there's accountability. People don't like, especially if you're kind of like, exposing stuff that they don't want you to talk about. So anyway, so that's happening because I never had to pay a dime, or I was always kind of, pretty ironclad in that sense, but people will still sue you anyway, just to shut you up. They'll, until also get like what you're worried about. So, but it's an awkward conversation when you're on the phone with a libel lawyer who's sort of, going over all of your interview notes and listening to the tape, and you're like, shit, I hope I got this right. So that's that other level of like, if you actually have to stand behind legally and otherwise what you're going to publish or put out there, it just forces a bit of discipline. And I think that's something that people probably don't see that goes on behind the scenes.
Well, and that's why we include alcohol on our show, right? So that's our first. That's our first line of defense. No, we were hammered. It was just a bunch of bullshit anyway. But like, I mean, even with something, we don't. we're not driven by any economics here. This is about, our guests. We try and be as, factual as we can, but we try not to go too deep, right? I mean, that's where we'd have to have a whole board of, legal support and everything else. So we totally get that.
How do
And
you guys keep Derek in check then? Because he seems like he just goes on.
well,
Rambles on.
yeah.
Because sometimes rambling on's good. Like, didn't
Yeah, it is.
Led Zeppelin say that, right? It's rambling on.
You know what? Like for me, if I ramble, sometimes I get in trouble because that'll turn into, if it's we backed off of politics for, I think, well, Heiko and I worked from a radio studio for a while, and then when COVID happened, we brought everything to social media, like so as a team. And George kind of keeps us. George is, kind of the keeps us in balance and in check. He's the gentleman on the show. But yeah, we'll go off on a topic sometimes and get emotional. But you have to be careful, obviously. I mean, like when they whacked Don Cherry, right? I was really upset with that, but I did not know the entire story. But then it's, I in the back of my mind, we deal with a lot of subjects and topics that lead me to believe that there's a snowflake movement out there, all right, that gets their feelings hurt about just about everything, right? So like Mr. Potato Head, for Christ's sakes.
Look what you started, Todd. You got him talking about the potato again.
Oh no, here we go.
From George, he's been silent. I feel like you guys have such a fun show. I feel like I brought you guys down. So I want to get you back to your normal rap here. So George,
No.
Because this is what it is. This is like sitting around and you seem to be answering questions almost honestly.
No,
so.
I'm getting texts right now that you're doing like you got a great guest, right? And then what? Sean actually he has his own podcast, and Sean says a journalist that does research based on facts. Wow, love this guy. And I think
Yeah.
How much media is program though? You know what I mean? How much is like, here, you just read this, right? And you're just broadcasting on the radio or broadcasting on the TV or whatever, and literally whoever they are, like Soros or anybody like that, tell you what to say.
I would say, do you remember in the JFK line, the movie, it was just follow the money. They kept saying that line. I think it's more like follow the economics. Like if you look at media that has proper resources to actually fund newsrooms and editors and journalists and fact checkers, you'll get really good quality information. I'm talking New York Times, Globe and Mail, The Economist. You would read the best magazine in the world. Subscribe to The Economist; it'll blow your mind.
But they're gonna have their boss who goes, "Hey Todd, go find me dirt on Ringo. I want you to find me dirt on Ringo," right? So you go and find dirt on Ringo.
Here it is. Can you grab my phone?
Not the dirty pages. And then say now
it's not my
for whatever political reason. Say Ringo wants to be, the mayor of Vocal Town. So now you go and find dirt on him. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden Heiko goes, well, hey, let's find out the good stuff on Ringo. Yeah. Let's help Ringo out. So it all depends on who owns it up here. How much media is like gets told what to say.
So influencing. Yeah.
Influenced by the people, by they.
Yeah.
Tough question. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't strike me that happens an awful lot, that someone is just using the power of the press as this assassin tool to go, character assassin. I'd say that the media in general, society loves building people up and we love tearing them down. So our media is kind of a reflection of the way we look at world. We love building celebrities up. We can't wait for them to crash. So as soon as there's a crack in their armor, just overall we love that, and the media often reports what is happening, and I don't think they engineer these things as much as they just exploit them.
See, here's something I've wanted to say is I'm finding this already happened before all this trucker stuff happened. You listen to people that said, I don't watch the news anymore. I'm sick and tired of the news. The news don't tell you what's really going on out there. And now this thing with all the truckers in Ottawa, I didn't want to really bring it up, but it's a great example, is the difference between what the media is telling us and the difference from what's actually factually going on out there is totally different. Like the media is telling us there's vandalism, there's theft, there's destruction of public property. Businesses have to close down because all the trucks are in the way. And I know many people that actually went there and they spent 3 days up there, and they even talked with the police. And the police said this is one of the quietest and best mannered. What do you call it? What are they doing? Yeah, displays that they've ever been to. It's peaceful, and they said restaurants. Yeah, the restaurants up there are not closing or hurting at all. They said they're so busy because of all the people in the city, they can't even look after anybody. A lot of the truckers were bored, and people that were up there, they were actually physically cleaning statues in Parliament Hill and cleaning up garbage and leaving it for the men.
Cleaning up the stuff that was vandalized by people who were there already, right?
Yeah. So it's all one-sided. Like, so now you're like me, you're listening to this and you go, what do I believe? This or this? They're two totally different stories.
I'd say that it goes back to, I mean, we all can't be there on the site, but the basic training in journalism is you trust your primary sources. Like, what did I see? What did I hear? What did I feel? When I was there, everything else is sort of, then if you're one source removed from that, I heard from a guy that, you interview your, eyewitness. The other one is I heard from a guy that heard from a guy. Every time you get removed from it, you're going through a filter and a lens. And so, so me personally, I'm not going to comment on what's actually going on in Ottawa. I'm not there. That would be kind of like a big stretch. So to your point of what can you believe, you have to, it depends.
And even there must be a lot of journalists out there because it's a big story. Why are only certain things being aired and not the other ones you hear about? Like that's where you start thinking and you go, well, are they blocking this from getting out, or are they changing the way it is? And that's why people are so tired right now of news. They're stopping watching. It's and the COVID thing. COVID. Every time you turn the news on, it's about COVID counts. So people are not dying of cancer anymore. People are not committing suicide. There's no more theft. Everything's great in the world. The only problem we have is COVID. And people are tired. They don't want to hear it anymore, right?
I think Sandra will play this for Sandra just to lighten the tone a little bit. Yeah.
Let's do some banana splits.
Yes, I'm ready. Do it.
Here we go.
George, you should slack him.
Cheers.
So Todd, I have one more
together now
for you.
Okay, man. Keep it light. Keep it light. We've got your guests are protesting and the serious.
Actually, Todd, I have a question for you. Who's the favorite interview you've done? Like, you've met lots of people. Who's your favorite one? And B, if there's anybody that you could interview, past or present, who would it be?
Okay. One of my favorite interviews was probably, and not because I believe in his political views, because he's a charming, funny guy, was probably Mulrooney. I interviewed him just a few years ago, Brian Mulrooney. Still funny, still quick-witted, still poised. He had sort of a grace around him. I do a lot of stuff in the mental health space too. So probably some of the favorite interviews I do are people who have schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, really tough mental health issues, and hearing about their stories and their journey. So that kind of stuff just fascinates me because and that kind of stuff, we do a lot of video production. So I interview people, we create videos for, Bell, Let's Talk, Mental Health Awareness Week, that kind of stuff. So those are kind of the courageous heroes that I see people are sort of soldiering through. Who would I interview if I could? That's
anybody whatsoever, past or present.
I would really like to sit down with Roger Waters at some point. I'm a huge
All right.
fan, and I
Oh, wow.
music, and so I just love to see what's going on in that messed up head of his. It'd be interesting. But, yeah, I'm thinking music because I'm kind of in this genre, but like I was a big Bowie fan. I always wanted to do that kind of journalism. Never really ended up in the music industry. It was more politics and news, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Right.
You know, on the political side, maybe like a Nelson Mandela would have been a pretty good get. You know. Hey, one thing to tell you just how to prove I am just kind of a sleazy journalist. I had a chance to meet the Queen. So I was up in Iqaluit, which is way up in Baffin Island in the middle of nowhere.
I know it. Yeah.
And the Queen was coming to town for visit with Prince Philip, Royal Plane. So I had to get RCMP clearance and British Secret Service clearance and all sort of stuff. And I waited all day to try to take her picture because you're always far away. So I had this giant telephoto lens and shooting over people. And I'm not that tall. I looked really tall in the show, but I'm really not. But so trying to get good shot of the Queen. Couldn't get one all day. Finally, I'm inside St. Jude's Cathedral, and I finally have this access and she's walking right down the aisle, literally like a foot and a half away, and she nods and does a little curtsy at me. And I think, am I going to be a human being and just nod and shake her hand or do whatever? Or am I going to be a journalist? And so I immediately take the telephoto and snap. And I have a picture of the Queen from like a foot and a half away with this overexposed flash going off, kind of like looking like this. And it was even a shitty photo, on top of everything else. So that's so in that moment where I could have been like just a decent human being and or do my job, I kind of opted to do that.
That just struck up a question. What's it like being in the presence of the Queen, like the head reptilian? What's it like?
Oh my God.
Lovely lady. I don't know. She just
there's got to be just an aura with her. You know what I mean? Anybody with that much power, when they walk into a room, it doesn't matter who's in there. That somebody of power just walked in.
Yeah, it's like a voice of an angel, right?
Yeah,
it's sort of. I don't know. There's something just obviously being so built up and so mythical and mystical. It is kind of cool to be there. So. Yeah, I didn't find any.
Todd, don't feed into Derek's delusions about this reptilian thing. But okay, so Todd, have you seen a flick on Netflix called Social Dilemma?
Is that the like the Facebook movie? Is that the?
Yeah, it's about all the social media, the algorithms, and how based on our phones listening and our surfing habits and stuff, it designs there are all these, I guess, bots design news to put in front of you, and essentially are brainwashing us, right? And it was fascinating. And these are ex executives at some of the biggest media companies, social media companies in the world, right?
I haven't seen the documentary. I'd say I follow the topic though, and I would say that it's kind of we're making our own problem to a certain extent because we're choosing sources and information that we really like, that we gravitate towards, and the algorithms just go, Derek likes this, I'm serving him out more of that because I can make more money every time he clicks on it. So
but what started out as monetizing and all of that, converting it to money, at the end, it's fascinating. I encourage you to watch it. At the end, all of the I guess the panel of people that they got were asked the same question. What's the end game? And they all agreed civil war, right? Because a lot of it could be you're drawn into it, and depending on what your everything from how you're educated to your mental stability, I can see how you can get really taken by this, and you're so narrow in that focus that you don't you don't pay attention to anything else that's going on.
What's it called, Ringo? The movie?
Social Dilemma. I've mentioned it a few times on here, and they talk about
definitely check it out. Well, each of us is worth money to all those corporations. Like all of your Switch activity is monetized by Google or Facebook. So everything you're doing, you're just racking up money for them, which is great for them. So.
Right. And this is where the concept of the matrix really kind of comes in. Like, I'm not a reptilian believer like Derek over there, but
Now I'm a reptilian believer.
but when you think about it, you've got all these algorithms now plugged into social media users that live and breathe social media. This is why it's so important to unplug, right?
Yeah.
For bits of time at least. But yeah, we're getting really mind screwed, and to the point where you're motivated to do things like, and I'm not going to get into the trucker thing, but it's amazing all this confusion and misinformation on both sides of the coin. A lot of that's a result of social media, right? So now something that was supposed to be a good intention and show a sign of freedom for Canada and everything else. Oh, well, the founders are from, they wear hoods. So like, and then for GoFundMe to shut that, like, this is the type of stuff
That starts
that if you
work.
watch Social Dilemma, and then you start to translate it into what's happening now, and even with this trucker event, it's so emotionally charged that it could create a divide. Definitely anti-vaxxers and vaxxers divide, right? And we've got a variance sitting right here. We're kind of we're vaxxers, we're for, we're against it, but at the end of the day, it's the segregation and everything that comes out of the media pushes for whatever the reasons are. I think social media is very different. Yeah, they want to monetize, but they want control. So we're getting closer to who they are. And
Are we?
But
Because we ask that all the
we're
time.
not. They are the ones who are distracting it all. They are the ones who are they're the ones who are making, like the guy who unfriended me today that I've known since I was 19 because I put up a video out of I want to hear what people say about it. Not because I believed it, not because that was my political views, but because he is completely left and he didn't like what I put up. And he's like, "You're way too far into conspiracies." But is it a conspiracy? I was just saying it's true. And I have people, okay. Have you heard of any of the trials that are going on in the UK or in Germany about COVID?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I haven't.
I would say that they're just not to get too serious about your friend, but I'd say that there's a responsibility sometimes for fanning confusion and just throwing gasoline on the fire. So you think about, you mentioned Civil War, Ringo, earlier. I think if you look south of the border, it's a pretty frightening divide.
Absolutely.
It's much more polarized than it is. I see some of that coming up to Canada, which is sort of troubling. But what, I never would have thought that all those polarizing forces would have led to January 6th. Now, whatever you believe, who's behind that, basically a bunch of people, invaded and took over the Capitol. And it didn't take really that much to fan anger and hatred and rile people up. So if you are going to put something out there just for whatever, like, what's the intent? Like, as an individual, whether you're on a social media platform, because if you're just sort of like sowing the confusion or stirring the pot, like, yeah, maybe it's fun, but somebody's going to take that and seize on that. Next thing you know, they're dressed in like headgear and they've got flags and they're shooting people or trying to break into your seat of government, right? So it can get really haywire really quickly. And the one reason why I guess I defend media a little bit too is that when everyone gets riled up, if you look at every country when there's a revolution or there's trouble, the first thing the authoritarian governments do is round up the journalists and shoot and kill them. Like, get the intelligence. They're the ones that can communicate to the people. They're a threat. Therefore, so it's very easy to rile people up against the media. When you remember that, you feel like you're in this group that you've got this hate directed towards.
This is where I feel though that a real live journalist like yourself that does look into facts and has social responsibility and ethical responsibility is a hell of a lot better than letting some AI level bots make some algorithm assumptions and create you know, people that will, you know, that aren't in the right mental state to do really stupid things, including maybe killing someone, right? And I'm sure it's happened. I mean, even if you look at the issues behind cyberbullying and all of that, I mean, that's just absolutely crazy. You know, even TikTok videos and all of that. Like, I mean, it's kind of getting ridiculous. Things that turn out as a contest. It's like, hey, you know what? Your body, your naked body that you're putting out there is going to be there for life, right? But so we're allowing. There needs to be some constraints put on they who you know, that operate these socials. AI is not going away, right?
Well,
Someone
AI is growing
it's just
so
starting.
quickly right now.
absolutely. So, but we're losing. We need to have that control. We need to have a journalist, a live journalist, that because algorithms don't reason, and that's the big piece that's missing. And this is why we need more Todds out there.
No, please
Well,
don't say that. So that's
do you believe that we already are turning into cyborgs? We're already conditioned to have a computer in our hand connected to our head 24 hours a day.
Yep.
We are part
Yeah.
cyborg already and not even know it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's that word we like to use called sheeple. The ones that just they have their phone in their hand and they have their TV on and they just follow whatever is
No,
put out there.
But Heiko, even you right now, right? You're not a sheeple, but you got your phone right there and you're using it to broadcast. You probably don't leave your house without your phone. Your
Oh,
phone
I do.
is now connected to you. Okay,
Yeah.
then you're one of the few, right?
I'm not addicted to my phone.
No,
like
I know,
some
but
people
you
are.
have it because why else would you have a phone? Because you use it to call. I never used to carry a phone with me and then when I got one, I took it all the time. Why?
Yeah.
Because you have it to call wherever you are.
Hey, George, could you pull us out of the serious tailspin here? What are your thoughts here? So I love the chat, Derek. I'm not cutting you off, but there's normally more banter between everyone. I feel you've been quiet, probably because you're the wisest of the bunch. Probably not.
Yeah, he is wise and he
I'm
takes
the
it all in.
oldest. I don't know about the wisest. No, I mean, I don't. I mean, I have a phone. I mean, you know, but I'm not on it all the time. I don't have a landline anymore. You know, so that's my only form of communication. You know, I mean, I take it with me because if I'm driving the van and you know break down, I got to call the CAA, right? So, but I'm not want to.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not on there doing all kinds of stuff. You know.
But when there was a day, maybe were you a big consumer? I guess, assuming you have UK connections with daily newspapers over there. I mean, that's a whole other sort of.
No, I'm not really. I'm not. I'm probably close to one of those guys that that Heiko mentioned there. I mean, I used to watch the news. Now I kind of pick up bits and pieces rather than, and I try to watch, you know, every side, every angle, rather than just go, oh, you know, my favorite. I watch him and he's got it all right. I would never do that either.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think that way, yeah. But I remember growing up that you had the Daily Mirror, and if you were, you know, voted for Labour, that was your paper. You know, if you were Conservative, you got, I think, the Daily Mail back then, right? And there was that split for sure in the UK. I remember that. My dad was really into politics. He used to drive me nuts as a kid, right? His friends used to come round on a Sunday. I'm trying to watch Wagon Train or something on the TV, and all I can hear is these guys in the next room drinking vodka and getting really riled up about politics. So I've always had this aversion to politics. It scarred me mentally for life, you know, because I thought at the end of the buddies, when they start off and by the end of the evening, they all hate each other.
Yeah.
And then the next weekend, they do exactly, you know, he'll take me to someone's house and they'll do it. Same guys will come and the same outcome every Sunday evening that I used to listen to this. So,
yep.
It reminds me, I was a newspaper editor in a small town, and the paper would arrive on Friday. And we would produce it during the week and have all the stories. And then I would go to a party on a Friday or Saturday night, and I'd hear everybody talk about all these stories, and maybe people who didn't know arguing back and forth what it all meant. And I'm like, oh my God, I mean, I wrote that story, and this one has this opinion. That, oh, it's this and it's that. And I'm like, holy shit! Like, and it's like I would actually get that immediate feedback from people. And you know, there was government people who would drive to the store the moment the plane arrived, because the plane had to physically bring the paper to town on Friday afternoons, and all the civil servants would go grab a copy, cut it open, and read it and have something to talk about. It's a small town. It was 5,000 people on Baffin Island, right? It was kind of a big deal. But it was funny just to see even that kind of broken telephone situation where everyone would get all riled up and interpret the same news event in whatever way they chose to inject into it. So it doesn't really matter even how the news is reported. I mean, Derek, you and I could read the exact same article, the same information, and whatever filter we bring to it, we're going to pull our own thing from it. It doesn't make you right or me right, nothing like that. We don't arrive at these media sources kind of without our own sort of preloaded opinions, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. It's like, no, Chevy's better than Ford, Todd. Yeah. You can't say that because I like this, and in this year it did this, and then you're going to say, well, in this year mine did this, and yours did that. I get it. I get it.
That's what I say on the show.
At open mic, are you going to be like screwing up the drum beat if I'm not playing a song now because you're mad at me because I'm?
No, I'll just be like, I don't know that song, and I'll just sit back.
But see, that's the ticket though too. We say that a lot. We say, "This is my opinion." Like, an opinion is just that. It's what you have absorbed through media or reading a newspaper or whatever, and this is your conclusion you've come up with and your thoughts.
Yeah.
But the problem is when people get together, is they think their opinion is right, and that's when the arguing starts. Right and wrong, and it should just stay opinions. You can always learn by listening to other people.
Talking about newspapers and vote, politics and all that. Here's a funny story for you, Todd, because growing up in England, the voting age was 21, right, when I was growing up, and then they changed it to 18 in 1970, and I turned 18 so that I could vote, right? And the thing that I went out and voted for the first time ever, and the thing that swung it for me was that one of the parties said they were going to legalize the pirate radio stations. I thought, they've got my vote. Didn't matter about anything else. It was like, because I want to work on them, right? So it's fun. That's it.
What's
a wasted
the grizzled,
vote, really.
Journalist mean?
Oh, just kind of,
just put it out there. Okay.
The grizzled veteran, the kind of the grumpy kind of, I was hoping I was get more attacks directed toward me. I was ready to go.
Not the first time. The second time you'll get attacked.
Yeah.
Wait till George sees you 3 times. Whoa! Look at
it. First time you guys were nice, eh? So.
George I've been working on my dossier.
I heard right now. We're going at it.
Todd,
I'll have my dossier on the go next time.
I think we'd like to get you on in the future again if you're willing. Great to have you on. I was getting some comments on my phone. Just when our chat sort of slows down to a halt, people are listening because the numbers don't drop, right? But in that, that happens. So you're up there with those guests that are very interesting. So, and
you don't want to be boring though. That's the problem.
Oh, and not boring at all. I mean, your take on the whole media thing, and even Sean popping in and throwing that comment out. We need more, in the pursuit or fight for being on top and competition. You've got to keep ethics in check, and it sounds like you do that.
And it's very refreshing to hear that as well.
It is absolutely. So, and you've kind of opened the curtain a little bit for us to understand that, hey, you know what, you guys are doing your job. There's the collection, validating piece, all of that. When you fire it up, then the network or whoever you're working for, if you're a freelancer, all of a sudden, maybe there's economics. But the biggest fear that I have is social media, and the fact that is not run by, maybe at the top somewhere, but it's not controlled at ground level by real people that can reason and do ethical things, right? Or make that ethical call. An algorithm, an AI cannot do that yet.
Well, the good news is you're each of us as individuals is kind of in control to a certain extent of how much of that we consume, right? You can unplug, check it out, look at other sources. You know, there's different things. But I agree.
Yep.
It's so if you want to be part of the social discourse or part of the commentary, you know, you're on Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is. But I just wouldn't consider that media. I would consider that like the big public forum where everyone gathers together and they just scream their opinions to one another and try to express themselves. It's a form of expression, and I'm in favor of all that. But you know, choose it carefully. I guess the other thing is the thing I see is there's so much divisiveness and so much sort of hatred, and it's so hard in a democracy to keep everybody kind of peaceful at the best of times, and it's so easy to fan the flames. And I don't think we see how fragile, you know, peace actually is, you know, when people getting along, neighbors getting along with one another, not to get all like kumbaya and stuff like that. But when I see like what's going on south of the border, you know, whether it's Trump and people like him, you know, leading people, you know, against one another, it's just, it can go sideways in a hurry. And you know, you don't see it coming until it's kind of on you. So I guess, and then, you know, the media is always to blame. So.
Well, I also think on our side, we are as Canadians the most divided as we've been since I've been alive.
Yeah,
I've never seen this big of a divide in people in my 47 years.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you're right.
In Canada, and it's sad. It is sad. I was talking to a friend of mine who considers herself a flower child, and I said, "Where did it start going wrong? Where? Because you guys had it." I said, "Was it? Well, fuck, when the Rolling Stones had the fucking party and the guy got killed, you know what I mean? Like opposite of Woodstock or whatever." But where did it go wrong? Because they were leading down the right path. They had everything lined up, and all of a sudden, fuck, here we are hating each other. And you know, there wasn't during Woodstock there was an outbreak of something then too. You know, like I don't know.
You know, I hear, you know, here's the last thing I got here is a lesson I learned just this week. So it was all about the sort of trucker convoy stuff that's going on social media. One of my buddies had posted about the media distorting everything. And kind of like this conversation, I'm like, I just can't sit on the sidelines. And so I waded into one of his posts and I started chirping. And then this woman started attacking the media conspiring. And here's all this. And she's going back and forth. And I'm like, just trying to be cool. But, you know, we're kind of going back and forth.
Right.
And then I look at the name and I click. I'm like, who is this fucking lady? You know, I'm looking and it's like, went to Milton District High School. And I realized it's someone I went to high school with, someone I was friends with. And here I am thinking this is a complete stranger. And we're both like, you know, gaga. And I realized I'm like, is this the Tammy that I went to? Hey, we're friends. Cool. Like, sorry, you know, like, but with that anonymity, you just feel like, you know, you could just sort of say whatever you want. And I got like sucked into this rabbit hole that I normally don't ever do. And it was kind of like a lesson for me, like, okay, like these are people that are members of your community. They just happen to have a different political view, or they've been influenced by a different subset of opinions, which they're completely entitled to. But it, you know, if we were together at a party, would we really be, you know, ranting on about, you know, probably not. So, you know,
yeah. But, you know, root cause, like our technology has gotten to the point where, you know, that fact that you're even able to text somebody rather than pick up a telephone or see somebody face to face, you know, that's changed, and it puts so much in front of us that we're almost trained now to take as much information as we can in 30 seconds and come to a conclusion or an opinion, right? Which becomes contentious because someone else has got a different opinion, and it's like, wait a minute, I wasted all that time trying to like a whole 30 seconds of my life coming up with an opinion or a theory. So I guess, Heiko, we should probably wrap it up. And Todd, you rocked.
That was
it,
excellent,
man.
Todd.
awesome. And thanks, guys.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Now I kind of know what the show's about. It was I had to fight my way in and come up with some reason to sort of deconstruct it from the inside as a viewer. So I appreciate the time in the chat, guys.
Yeah, well, we make an open forum, easygoing, and a lot of times we gear towards our guests. We let them kind of throw out there what they want, because look at us, you know. We love doing this kind of thing. We have a lot of different people on as guests, and they always bring something very cool to the plate, like you just did tonight. That's awesome. So we'd love to have you on again.
Hey, anytime, guys. Keep at it.
Now you know
Keep
Now you know what we're all about.
I do, yeah. I'll have to retract my previous statements.
Yeah.
Make you eat
damn.
words.
All right,
Does
guys.
anybody have anything that they want to plug? Any last things they want to throw out there?
Yeah,
Nobody?
switch to Twitch, 7:30 p.m. Tuesdays.
Yeah, we didn't mean you, George.
Okay.
Yeah.
Drop it
George.
and tune out. Drop it and tune out. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're rotting into a groove. The Atomic Ballroom. Switch to Twitch. There
So
you go.
Todd, is there anything that you
Shameless.
would like to pitch or
No,
direct
really,
this to?
just, tune in every Monday night. You don't.
Yeah, right. 9:30.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll have you on again for sure.
All right. Thanks,
Bye,
buddy.
George.
Cheers.
Take care, buddy.
Bye.
All the best.
Okay, cheers.
And I want to throw out there too. Anybody into going ice fishing, call up Mitchell's Fish Huts on Lake Simcoe. They even welcome people from the United States to come up and do some awesome fishing. They got party huts, boys. We're getting a party hut next week. It holds 8 people.
All
So
right.
we're gonna have a bit of a bash. We got to go do this. man.
How
It'll be
thick
fun.
is the ice over there?
Oh, it's well over a foot. It's clear ice, so it's really good.
Okay.
We got
It froze
probably
quick.
yeah,
so
we
that's
got like
next week then, right?
16 inches of ice out there right now, and it's clear.
Yeah,
So-
okay. Good.
You can drive a tractor trailer on that, no problem.
Yeah. What a
You
great
may.
guest.
Yeah, awesome, eh?
What a great guest. Yeah. He was,
Yeah,
he
was super.
phenomenal. Not what I expected.
We
yeah,
gotta
he
see if
does
we
a
can
lot
get
of
us
really cool.
a sleazy journalist. We need one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what? I think social media creates a lot of that just through its technology, but it's scary, right?
it does.
Like-
And even watching him talk, he was very articulate about certain things, and shied away
Yeah.
from this and that, and it was awesome. Very good.
No,
Very
it
well
was
done.
it was kind of like when we had that comedian on Darren Frost.
Darren.
And in fact, I think he's doing a show coming up at I don't know. I'll see if I can get the thing and we'll post it. But there was a post
Okay.
today on his. But Darren, I mean, funny guy.
Yes.
But when he came on, we didn't expect him to do an act or anything, which he didn't. He talked about the day in the life of a comedian,
Yeah.
and his kind of sense of humor and some of the challenges that he's had along the way, and that was brilliant.
And that's the kind of stuff we want to hear, right?
Yeah, and I think tonight Todd, didn't have to say, well, hey, this is going on in the world today. He talked about, I think where we, kind of came out of is thinking, hey, the media has some kind of control, and they do. There's kind of a yin yang thing, but
Being controlled by they.
yeah, exactly. But Todd seems to be the real deal, and I think it's back to ethical conduct and everything, which he does the homework and he finds his sources, and it was really really exciting. I enjoyed it. I have a bunch of other questions for him, but we'll pick that up next time.
Same for next time.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, boys.
Well, Hike, lead the train, buddy.
All right, I'll lead the train. Well, I want to also thank the guests that were part of our show tonight. Melanie got in first place today. Boom, right off the button. Deborah was right behind her, and Gary, James, Derek, Sandra, Todd Jr., Kathy, Rhonda, Gigi, and Sean. It was great having you guys on the show. Hopefully have you on the show again next Monday night, right here on the Heikadelic Show. Have a great week, guys. Go ice fishing. Have fun. Be safe.
Go fishing.
Have a beer. Mitchell's Fish Huts. That's where you go.
And where is Mitchell's Fish Huts?
Beaverton.
Again? Sorry?
Beaverton.
Beaverton.
Just look it up. Mitchell's Fish Huts in Beaverton.
All right.
They're safe, clean, got great equipment. Good times.
I think we have an old.
Don't throw minnows on the heater.
No. Yeah, we might have an old thing. I got some pictures too. I'll send you. Maybe we'll throw some up for next week.
Yeah, let's spin it. Hang on, guys.
Oh, you got it?
All right, guys, get ready to go fishing with Mitchell out on Lake Simcoe. You guys ready? Yeah. And we're out in the middle of the lake. Fishing with Mitchell. There's little towns of huts out here. Very hard to see, but freaking awesome day. All the lines are in the water. Minnows are happy. Come on, let's go. Here, fishy, fishy. Come on. There we go. Woohoo!
Wow, that's a loud commercial. But you know what? There it is, right? Still
Yeah,
fresh.
there's that one guy who thought the fish was a cigar. He's trying to smoke it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right out, buddy.
All good. Okay, guys. Well, hey, Derek, you going to share those chips with us?
Yeah, man.
All right.
All right.
So we'll see you all next week.
Yeah, we'll hit the button and we'll say bye to all our friends, and then we can chat.
All right. See you guys.
Good night, everybody.
Well, that's another wrap for the Heikadelic Show, folks, so time to get dirty. And don't forget, listen in next week on Monday night and every Monday after that for the Heikadelic Show at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like more information on the Heikadelic Show, please find us at www.theheikedelicshow.com or .ca. We'll see you all next week on the Heikadelic Show. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor for the Heikadelic Show, it's easy. Just send us an email at info@theheikedelicshow.com. Meanwhile, you can browse our website at www.theheikedelicshow.com or .ca. Click on our sponsor tab and find out more information on sponsorships. Thanks for joining the Heikadelic Show, fans.